Virgin. Beauty. Bitch. Podcast. Inspiring women to overcome social stereotypes and share unique life experiences without fear of being defiantly different. Your hosts, Christopher and Heather. Let's talk, shall we?
Take 2 of these, but don't bother calling me in the morning because I'm far too busy. Unfortunately, that seems to be the state of healthcare we typically experience in North America these days. Sadly, there are generations that don't know the ancient art of healing. The only experience they see is the practice of medicine. Fortunately, we are privileged to have a healer with us today. Welcome, Alisa Gracheva, to VIRGIN.BEAUTY.B.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, and thank you for giving me this beautiful title that I won't probably give to myself. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Actually, that was the first thing I wanted to ask you. Is healer a proper word to use to describe your current work? Because it's very extensive. And from your experience, what would you say separates what you do today from what you were when you started your career as a clinical mental health counselor and licensed psychotherapist?
Well, yes, I feel like a lot of different areas that I like to cover when I work with people, because it's not just, I don't like to look at just one area of human in general, human beings, right? Because I feel like we have to go to the medical professional to to treat certain symptom. We go to mental health professional to work on our mind. We go to church or, meditation centers or all of those retreats, take care of our spirit, but we're one entire system. And I feel like just focusing on one area, of course, there are professionals that just take one piece and they work with that. My approach is a little different. I try to go through many different areas and layers of humans, right? Because we're such a sophisticated and intricate designs that we all have. And I feel like diving deeper into that can help a lot. Mind, of course, can be the most influenced part of ourselves because there's so many different news, media, family, society, country, the world together. And I feel like it's so easy to get sidetracked from what we are and what we want in life. So I feel like mind is definitely something that needs to be considered and addressed. One of the first stages, because a lot of things happen from our mind, right? And the emotions and behaviors. But ultimately, I feel like there are other parts that are more important. And once we domesticate the mind through clinical mental health, right? And it's an important part, we can dive into more the deeper parts of ourselves where actually miracles take place. So to say whether, I don't know if I myself can hold myself a healer. I think I'm a servant for the mission that I have. And that's my primary goal, is to be there for people and I give everything to everybody. But whoever takes it and runs with that, they may heal. And those who don't believe in that, they may not heal. So am I a healer if they don't heal? I feel like it's a collaboration between me and someone else. And if people take it and they accept it and they have an open mind and they're willing and ready to change, then we can have this productive kind of experience and they may heal themselves. I'm just assisting them on their journey with what I know, what I've learned, what I've experienced.
Does that take away your power? You are giving of yourself, of your knowledge, of your experience, and your intention is to help that person get to a place that is healthier than when they came to you. Does that just flat out make you a healer? Or does it depend? Why does it depend on the person's acceptance and not just your intention?
Well, there are a lot of kind of components to that. So number one, if we're talking about and I'm going to go here a little bit sidetracked, even with the Bible, right? I'm spiritual, not religious, but I respect all religions. And even Jesus said, even the least among you can do the same and greater things. And if you believe you can be healed, then I can heal you. When he was asked, can you heal me, Jesus? And he said, if you believe I can heal you, then I will. If you don't believe in that, and we're coming back to mental health and clinical psychotherapy, where placebo effect exists, right? People can believe they can be healed from taking sugar pill and heal their arthritis, and they're going to heal that. If they don't believe that, they're not going to heal. So we are the strongest force in our universe. So if I don't believe in something, it's not going to affect me. If I believe in that, then it will, and positive or negative. Some people say, I can do this or I can't do this. And both of them will be equally right because they're setting for themselves this program. whether they will succeed or not. And in my case, giving away power, I have unlimited, I'm plugging into unlimited source, not the mental source, not the mind itself. That's the energy. We all have that energy. We were born. We came from nowhere to now here. The difference in only in spacing, like Wayne Dyer said, one of the greatest teachers of mine. And I feel like acknowledging that divinity and that miracle that we are, how we came to be, and who is here with us walking this path, and not even as a separate entity, but who is digesting the food, who is breathing our bodies. We're not trying to grasp for air right now. I'm not trying to control that, right? I trust the process within me and that consciousness that is going to give me this process. I'm here on the mission, and I can't control when I'm going to get out of here. Well, some people can, of course, but again, that's what's taking away our power. And our power is to trust and to be present. And I feel like that's what was my way of plugging in and, channeling this energy and giving from a space of abundance rather from a space of my own limitation. Because if I will be focusing on, I want them to heal, of course I want them to heal, but it might not be their time. And I don't want to interfere with their karma or their healing process. And so we can bring the horse to water, but we can't make it drink. So I'm giving them the water. If they want to drink it, they will. If they don't, it's not up to me.
So I love the different examples that you've brought forward, because it really speaks to the power of the mind and the power of your energy and what you put into an experience. I'm wondering, with your clients, with your background, and then also with the new direction of your career, like, how do you start the process with them to get to know where they might be stuck, where they might be having reservations, what they're coming to, like, go walk a path with you? Where do you start with your clients?
I think it starts with just being present, because we don't know. Sometimes I can get sidetracked too. I mean, I'm a human and sometimes I want to, put all of it at them. And I always tell them, you have to stop me. Like, if I'm going on, if I'm saying something, I want us to have transparency. I'm a human. I can say certain things that may be triggering or this or that, but I want to be here for you and with you. And we're going to take the time to get to know each other. And and I always mention that to my clients. And I hope they're not going to, crucify me in my clinical mental health circle. But I always say I have kind of broader boundaries with people because I'm here for you. So if you need me, I want you to reach out. If I can't, of course, I'm not going to, during the night and my phone is off, but I will be there for you no matter what. I want them to have this resource because technically I'm giving them this time of mine. They're in treatment with me, whether it's, more of a spiritual work or more of a therapeutic alliance. And so I feel like being present and not judging them, because people come and you know how we open up in little steps and little layers. And if they feel that, okay, I wasn't judged for that, and then I wasn't judged for that, and I was actually supported and said, you know what? Yeah, I get it. I get it why you did what you did and why you're doing what you're doing. It's understandable. They immediately put down their defenses, because I feel like in this world, there's so much judgment about everything. And people forget there's just an opinion or, why we do. There's always a reason why we do what we do. And I feel like providing that safe space where they don't feel like they've done something wrong allows them to really open up to different ideas regarding the same topic or the same behavior or the same emotion. And just, go on and explore deeper. I call it the dark forest, right? So I'm going into their dark forest to explore what they have in there. And it's a fascinating experience. And I love the depths. And I'm learning so much from them, as much as, I don't know, maybe even more than what they learn from me, right? I love to be there because we can relive their life through them. And so I can live 1,000 lives in a year per se, because I see so many people and learning so much from them. And it's beautiful.
What brought you on this path? I mean, it's not a typical path of your training. Like, what triggered you to shift and open up to all these different modalities? What's your personal story in that?
That's going to be an interesting one. So in 2017, I've had PTSD myself. I've had a really rough abusive relationship in past, I would say 15 years now, or maybe even more. And in 2017, I got married a little bit before that to a wonderful man. And then I started having this, and I thought I've resolved my PTSD, but I didn't know how trauma works. Now I'm a trauma specialist, so I kind of know why it happened the way it did. But when my trauma was resurrected through that marriage, I started searching for different ways to heal. And through a lot of different trials and tribulations, it brought me to the ayahuasca, right? The medicine that I started with back in 2017. And it was a very rough experience of going through that and learning through this medicine. And then I became on this path. So from that point on, I was very involved with that, and it opened up and gave me a lot of tools when it comes to spirituality and exploring different ways, which is sound healing, energy work, EFT with tapping, different modalities. I have light therapy with Pandora Star, or very powerful tools that we need as humans, I feel like, and we can experience without even ingesting anything or taking anything. And that's what I wanted to bring to people, because the knowledge that we get through those experiences, even meditation, prayer, right? Every single night I'm on my knees. That's what I do because I need to get down. I need to be humble. And that's what keeps me grounded and keeps me on the right track. And from that point on, I just kept going on and exploring those things that continue to show up. And I feel like following, in the beginning, we have this little voice, like a whisper. That's like, maybe you should explore this thing. Maybe you should go there. And then if you follow, it becomes, more loud and more loud and more loud. And that restless mind and that restless voice that we have inside becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And we begin to really, if we give ourselves that chance and time in exploring those things and get committed to that, because that's another level, right? We have to be ready to take on this responsibility. And then we receive more insights that come from, I don't know where, right? From this plugging into some source that we have. And then we begin to receive those little messages and we explore them. And the more we know, the more responsibilities we carry. And that's one of the very important kind of aspects of that, because we can't, if we know better, we have to do better. And if I don't do better, if I know better, I'm going to get myself in some trouble. Not them. There is nobody who wants to punish you. We're going to punish ourselves because I'm not following through with what feels truthful. But if I let myself go and I take this on, I say, okay, I'm ready to change. I know it's going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to change my routine. I'm going to sit down with myself every day. Maybe it's sobriety related, right? I used to drink before. I'm Russian, so I have more, alcohol in my blood than blood, or in the past at least. So I quit everything. There were so many things that I had to quit. But guess what? It wasn't as hard as my mind was telling me it would be. If I just give it my first step and I give it my dedication and my intention, I'm going to get incredible results. And that's powerful kind of alignment with your higher self, with whatever we want to call the source, right? We can't get wet from the word water. There's so many ways that we can call water, but it's not going to be the same as this energy that created us, God, Allah, Krishna, whatever we want to call it, source, universe. It's all the same thing. This is the energy we're talking about. And so when we trust it and we're on the way, that's how we truly begin to step into that power and realize who we are outside of this human body. So yeah.
That's beautiful. I noticed in some of your works that you've outlined that you help women break free from conditioning that keeps them stuck in limiting beliefs. I'm wondering if you can share with us what are some of the most common patterns that you see in the women that you work with in the limiting beliefs that they feel.
I'm unlovable. I am abandoned. I'm not good enough. I'm imperfect. I'm powerless. I'm helpless. I'm hopeless. There are so many different beliefs that we have, but there's a lot of, it's tricky when it comes to beliefs, because some of those beliefs we may learn from our parents when we're growing up through negative experiences in our adulthood. So there's a lot of kind of things that can create that, but beliefs are not just mental. And that's what trauma work kind of allowed me to understand better. We have this top brain, we're going to call it simplistic. Dan Siegel called it simplistically top brain and the bottom brain. When we get, let's say, if we're talking about being scared, right, or any experience that we have, it's not just a mental experience. We feel it physiologically, right? If we get scared, it's the heart palpitation, we get shaky, we have high blood pressure. The same with if we get happy, if we're in love, remember your feeling. Everything is a miracle. We're walking, we have butterflies in our stomach, goosebumps, everything is great. So every belief will have physiological component to that. And why it's physiological component? Our neurons fire and wire together with everything we experience. And if we have, usually it starts early in childhood, I would say, because most people have some traumas in childhood. And traumas does not have to mean that it's something that is a disaster, sexual abuse, beating, right? It can be neglect, simple as that. It can be not get those needs met that we had as children, right? Because again, when we're children, our parents are everything. They're gods to us. We don't know any other God. For us, they are. And if they're not giving us that unconditional love or that care, they don't learn or they don't teach us how to feel validated, how to feel loved, how to feel important, then it's a hard job to do later in life. And during those childhood experiences, we get this internal wiring underneath of which we have that negative belief. And guess what? We don't have a conscious access to that from the top brain to the bottom brain, from our mind to what's going on internally in our physiology. And so that's how we begin to walk through life, having this sort of lens, muddy lens now, of believing that I'm not good enough, I'm abandoned, I don't deserve love, I don't have self-worth, I'm not worthy of love, right? Which is a scary thing. And then that's how we get in trouble, because we're not functioning from the top brain. Because I'm going around and all I think is like, you know what, I'm not going to talk to that person. I'm not going to take that opportunity. But why do I think that? Because I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I'm going to make it. I don't think I'm capable. I don't think I'm important. And so resolving that and working through that and learning how to afterwards recognize the patterns of behaviors that we get into with those beliefs. We have to backtrack a little bit and explore, okay, well, what happened that made you feel that way? Why are you experiencing this? Why are you thinking like this? Because the thoughts we feel, or the thoughts we think rather, would be automatic based on those beliefs we have. And so getting through that, through our thoughts and emotions, and how do I feel right now? And this is why this physiology, doing the somatic work, interoception, we call it, becoming very aware of what am I feeling right now? And learning to navigate physiological component of our being is a very important steps to get to those negative beliefs we have about ourselves. And a lot of women struggle with that.
I think that ties in really nicely with something that Christopher and I have been exploring a lot lately, in that with so many women experiencing those kind of patterns in not feeling like enough, not feeling important, not feeling capable or deserving, that so much of that is built through a betrayal from society and a betrayal of self, where perhaps the way that you grew up or the way that you were treated continued to influence that. Other people deserved more opportunity than you. A lot of our society still berates us to look a certain way and act a certain way in order to be loved or seen or supported. So when it comes to the thoughts of betrayal as impacting a woman's self-identity, how do you foresee us starting to reclaim trusting ourselves?
Mm-hmm. One thing that I want to bring up when it comes to working through that betrayal, and it's a very important part and an aspect, and I feel like grasping that can give a lot of freedom. When we consider, okay, somebody wronged me, I'm entitled to feel this way, because naturally you are. All of our feelings are justified. It happens because it happened, right? And we should feel it all. And I think we should feel bad about ourselves for some time if we need to. And sometimes earlier in life, we probably get a little stuck with that. But again, as we move forward, it probably becomes less and less intense. But one thing to realize is that, and for women and for men, for all of us, is just no one is coming, especially for women, because I feel like we have more attachments kind of issues when it comes to relationships and families and all of that. So no one is coming. We have to find a way. If I wasn't taught how to love myself or validate myself, I will have to do that myself. I will have to learn, and I will have to find solutions and ways. And there are so many of them. There are a lot of resources if we're ready to open ourselves up to that and take that responsibility, right? No one is coming, but it's not a tragedy. It's freedom. We have to remember that it's not going to give us this kind of fall down. It's not that no one is coming. Oh my God, what I'm going to do. You will do so good. You will do so much better because no one is coming, because you will gain. And that's the power of making that decision. And then again, realizing that it's not going to be, I had a person who asked me, well, so I'm not going to need a man ever again then. Like, no, but you're not going to get the bad man next to you again, because you will know your self-worth. So, and when the right person will show up, they will be mind-blowing in a very good way. And you will be strong enough to recognize if there are any red flags or not. And starting point is taking that responsibility and taking the steps. and seeking solutions, because if I don't seek solutions, I'm not going to find them. There's this beautiful quote: we can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. We need to get a new mind. How do I get a new mind? I started listening to different music. If I listen to, in my own healing process, I stopped listening to old music. It was 3 months of complete detachment from anything I've ever known. I don't, recommend people to go that route because it can be very disorienting. I mean, I recommend, but not a lot of people would take it and be okay with that way. But detaching from that, getting new information, getting out of the trap situations, which is sometimes our houses, maybe our environments at work, right? Maybe changing jobs. So taking the steps to get yourself out of the known into the unknown, where there's limitless possibilities. And I feel like that's the starting point. And changing your mind and saying, in my own way, what helped me what my thought process was, what if everything I believe in is not true? What everything that I thought was true is not true? What if? And suddenly I have so many it's open field of opportunities, and I can pick and choose, because guess what? We all have very different perception of reality. And if I'm going to be outside and there is a homeless person sitting, we're in the same place at the same time, but our realities are very different. Our worlds are different. So if our reality is equally valid for all of us, so why don't I get a different reality for myself, different perception of reality? And then when I start, again, reading books, that's where we have this incredible gift of other people bringing those books and those podcasts and bringing all of this knowledge through their experience and sharing it with the world. Explore it. It's not going to hurt. Explore it. Get some new information. And if we continuously doing this work, and consistency is the key, we're going to start experiencing the shift in consciousness as well, in our mental consciousness, in our mind. And that's a very powerful step to take. Another thing I'm going to mention briefly is to learn to see, and that's why I align a lot spirituality with mental health, because it's very hard sometimes to make sense of our traumas just from a human perspective, because horrible things happen to women, especially, right? We have a lot of things that can be going wrong with us. But if I see it in a way of it had to happen, and there's a sacred contract that was between me and that person, and it had to happen for me to learn from that and grow. I know it's a hard thing for a lot of people, or hard pill to swallow, right? But it's such a liberating experience, because you're not a victim anymore. I don't like when women call themselves victims. You can grow out from any experience. And if people read Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, when he went through Holocaust and he rose above it and he created this masterpiece that changed the world, so can you. We can do it, and we can do it so much more and so much better. We just have to believe in that and trust it, and trust the process of change.
It's just hard because we've made victimized, or being a victim, profitable almost, because we can get so much empathy and people feeling sorry for us, and that becomes love for a lot of people. And letting that go is, if that's all you have, or that's all you feel you have access to, is very difficult to say, let that go, because there's something greater on the other side of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the saying, we have to trust this process. Just like we trusted the process and that's again, coming back to my teacher, trusted that when we're growing in our mother's wombs for 9 months, nobody's interfering. We're not trying to control that, right? We're not trying to create a nose. We're not doing anything. Our mothers don't do anything. Doctors don't do anything. Today we're going to work on the liver. We're not questioning that, right? We're trusting this process, something that grows those trees, that opens up flowers, that, we have these rivers that are flowing. All of it has consciousness in it. So are we internally right now, and so is our life. We just have to learn to trust. Again, is it easy? No. That's why I have a job, right? Because it's not easy. But yet we're all capable of getting there, because people change all the time. And there's so much proof exists that people change all the time. And it's a beautiful transformation. And if we're ready, again, I feel like I look at it this way. There are 3 steps to that, important steps. I mean, there are much more, but when we're talking about healing from betrayal or trauma. But first, it will become self-aware. And that self-awareness comes from, okay, you know what? I'm actually talking only about my trauma when I meet new people. Is that what you want to share? I mean, you can get what you want out of it. And yes, for sure, you're absolutely right about that. We gain benefits from being where we are. Do I like where I am? And we have to be brutally honest with ourselves. Is that something that I want to experience? Is that my identity? And that's, again, everybody has a right for their opinion of themselves. I can't change that. They have to be open to, they have to be open to look at it differently. Again, everybody is entitled to their opinion, even their opinion about me, but it doesn't change who I am, right? And their opinion about themselves. So first is self-awareness. What do I want out of it, and who I am, and what's the next step? Then willingness. You know what? I'm tired of this. I gotta do something about it. And it comes as naturally as our kidneys begin to grow inside the womb. It's as natural. We have to trust these little messages that we receive, right? Willingness. But it's not the worst part, right? Next one is to be ready to change, because I can be willing all I want. I say, you know what? I'm sick and tired. What do I do and how I get it? And then say, okay, yeah, I'm going to squeeze myself in infinite patience, and we'll do the steps. I will take that and I will dedicate myself. And that's the hard part. That's where we have to use willpower and our faith together, having the trust in this process that I will start changing and taking the time. It may not be fast at all. It may not be, it won't be easy for sure. So we just have to give it our best and trust that, and find ways and find communities where it's not about attachment, but it's about belonging. And that becomes a different thing. And that's a different quality of relationships. And how sometimes we can determine that? It's when you're sharing with someone, maybe someone new, and you shared before, you say, no, like this happened. Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do? And that's beautiful. I love when people do that too. I love when there's that, attachment that's been created. And then you're talking to someone else and you're saying something like, yeah, have you read that book? I think that's going to be very helpful to you. And, or did you think about, what if you look at it this way? I know it's rough, but what if you see it in that way? And then we're going to be receiving the messages from we're all extension of this infinite mind, infinite, consciousness. And we're receiving messages all the time. We just don't want to see them that way, or we don't want to accept it. And if someone is saying you get stuck as a victim, you're like, what do they say? No, I'm not a victim, but it's just hard. How can you get over it, right? So I feel like there's a lot of steps to that, and it's not easy. And again, I'm not at all, with all my respect to everybody, I know there is a sacred process of growth and healing. And there is a time that we need to, after my traumatic experience, I was stuck for years, actually. I was stuck for years. I didn't want to admit to that. And I started changing in small increments, right? But putting a lot of work into it. And then one day you look back, you're like, it doesn't at all bother me anymore. It doesn't. And we look back, and when we're at the place that we've grown so much, and we look back and I say, oh my God, thank God it happened. I would not be here now if it wasn't for that experience. And when we get grateful for that trauma, we're not happy about it, but we're grateful for it. That's the healing of that part. And then we will begin to have more appreciation for the hardships, because guess what? We'll look back and I say, oh, I was so happy. I grew so much. We never say that. We look back and say, oh my God, that was a shit show. I grew so much through that. It's incredible. Right? So I feel like recognizing that helps a lot.
Beautiful.
We love to ask our guests this question, and I'm so excited to hear your thoughts. What does feminine mean to you?
Okay, feminine is intuition, power, alignment, balance, service, and care. I feel like there are all of those things, because feminine, it's an allowing force. It allows and it listens, and it's following with the messages that we receive. So I feel like, and we all have that part. It's just some men sometimes don't want to admit to that. But if we think of it about the, meeting of big men sitting all together, and you'll be forcing your way through and screaming on top of someone else, right? We'll put that force rather than sitting back, observing. It's like, okay, this is going to be uncomfortable for that one. This is not going to work here. We're using that feminine principle. We use that intuition, and we follow through with that intuition we get so much further, forward with that. And so I feel like, yeah, for me, it's that intuitive power and alignment with our higher self.
That's a beautiful way to look at a word that we have so much confusion over in understanding. That is very, very clear and universal and does not specify a gender or sex. It is what it is. That's beautiful. Thank you. Alisa, how do people connect with you? Like you are so wise. How do people connect if they want to work with you or learn more from you? How do we do that?
I have, so my Instagram is Alisa_art. If my full name, Alisa Gracheva, in Google, you're probably going to have a lot of different resources, Psychology Today and Facebook as well. So I always encourage people to reach out. My personal website is also under construction right now, but www.sense.life.
Can you give us a quick review of Sense? Because that's a very unique project.
Yes, it's been there since 2016 when I wasn't yet a licensed clinician. So now we're updating that to bring all of the new pieces because I haven't touched that in a while. But it's an accumulation of and life coaching that I've done and just being of service for people and being available because I feel like that's what my calling is. And integrating a lot of different practices that I've ever done and something that I'm passionate about as well with sound healing, energy work, tapping, Pandora stars, the light therapy, and any type of, psychoeducation on medicine, on the plant work, right, that people often kind of get called by. So yeah, it's kind of a accumulation of a lot of different domains that I'm utilizing in my practice.
Fabulous. It's been a true joy to speak with you. In speaking to you, two words came up and both start with C. One was curiosity. Love your curiosity. And I love your courage, because curiosity is nothing without courage if you don't take that curiosity further. And it takes courage to do that. Those two words come so clearly in speaking to you, and I cannot thank you enough for sharing both of those with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Absolutely lovely to have you with us. Thank you for sharing your passion and your calling with us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And this thing you've been listening to, it's called
The Virgin,
the Beauty,
and the Bitch.
Yes, find us, like us, share us. Come on back. Hey, if you like these conversations, please let us know, because you are what we do this for. So let us know.